what their teams can bring for them tonight. Quebec looking for some redemption, right?
Yep.
Didn't win earlier today against Alberta, so we'll see what they do for a comeback here. What do you think, Joel? Do they get a little bit of an edge, being on the ice already, where BC, this is their first game, or what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think just having that going up and down the sheet a few times in the first draw there, getting used to the ice, getting used to the speed, getting used to the curl, getting used to the atmosphere, I think is the biggest thing. So having all that experience is going to kind of pay off early, and then we'll see if BC can adjust.
And anything else here tonight that you're kind of looking for and seeing here from the Skips here? We
looking for a little bit more rocks in play, I think. If we can see Quebec, now that they've got a game under their belt, now if we can see a little bit more strategy coming in, settle their nerves down a little bit, and now they can kind of go after BC. That would kind of, if I was the coach, I'd be telling Quebec that exact thing. Got to go after a team that hasn't got used to the ice yet.
Be interesting to see how this PC team runs. Very young team here. We've got 13 and 14 and 15-year-olds on this team. So young team. A couple of them are going to have a couple cracks at the Canadian Winter Games. So I'm very interested to see how they play tonight.
Absolutely. We'll stand for O Canada here.
The games will commence shortly. You may slide. Les jeux vont commencer bientôt. Vous pouvez glisser.
Another fantastic rendition of that O Canada.
You know, and I applaud you for not crying this time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Just gets you right in the mood. Perfect game, way to start the Canada Games. Draw 2 here at the Paterni Center here in Red Deer, Alberta. We welcome all our viewers from across the country. Hopefully we have some viewers from Quebec, from BC. Apparently our Quebec team speaks English. Learned that out before the game. Cool story, actually. I went down there to ask some names because I'm going to introduce our team names here. We got Hannah Cargill. Gargle is going to be our skip for Team Quebec. It is Gargle. She is not Galjul. Figured that out pretty quick. She's an English-speaking person from Quebec, which is awesome. We have Kira Johnson at third. At second, we have Amber Gargle. And at lead, we have Amy Upton.
And I'll just segue into this slowly. We've got our lead from BC, Brian Wolishin here about to throw. And, as this rock gets delivered, we'll introduce the remaining roster.
Absolutely. Can imagine the nerves are starting to flow for Team BC. Their first draw in front of this big crowd that they're not used to.
Yeah. So on our left there is third Chanel Mears. On the right-hand side is second Keely Duncan, and holding the broom at the other end. And their skip, Gracelyn Susan Richards. So.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll be.
I am. Thank you. BC gets us started right away, trying to get used to draw weight. Slips a little bit far back.
Again, something that we saw in the first draw where that first rock's over curled. Again, I think for a lot of these teams here, they've probably are going to have to get used to the amount of swing that's here tonight. Just not something you're going to find on your regular club sheet, as we touched on this morning.
Absolutely. It's important to have that nice rotation. trying to keep things a little bit straighter.
You can see this rock really coming off the line hard. So again, just for the viewers that haven't seen this morning, lots of curl, and that down weight is just gonna really finish. BC early on here getting a chance to lie to here. Looks like she's wanting to keep play to the middle with not having hammer, and makes sense to me.
So our lead, Bryn Woloshin, with her second rock here of her Canada Games experience. Like you said, Dustin, this is kind of two young teams that we got playing today. Our Quebec team is just as young. I think we got a 14-year-old, a couple 15-year-olds, and our skip's a little bit older at 17, but both these teams are quite young, so this is a good experience for them.
Absolutely, and you know, I think that's great. It's great to see a mix of ages here, and for these younger girls that, you know, for a couple on the BC team will have a couple cracks at getting here. Just a phenomenal way to get some early experience young in your curling career.
Upton here trying to redeem herself.
This one again, though, curling pretty hard. You can see, like, she's going to want to stick around, and they're going to sweep this hard to get a little bit piece. No, not the result they're looking for there. And, you know, the key is don't get down on yourself early here. Just kind of learn from what's going on here, and that is just, you know, if you're throwing some hits and everything's over curling, you got to think about keeping that weight up.
Absolutely.
Just a little bit firmer than you've been throwing.
Absolutely. So now we got Duncan here for BC, trying to keep things to the middle again. They're looking to put this one top 12. Sweepers are on and off, so she looks pretty good weight. Sweepers are working on, looks like a little bit light, but I don't think she's too upset with the center guard here.
No, I think that's a good result. I mean, again, there's a lot of yellow right now, and that's a very usable rock for them. Again, much better than being heavy and behind the tee line. If again, they're still getting used to the ice and this being their first game, so.
Got some pretty good music here rocking in the background here.
Well, it's something.
It's something.
Yeah.
Trying to get the fans into the game tonight.
Well, again, for you guys watching this, you can see that a little more weight than the lead had thrown for Team Quebec, and you see it just run that much straighter. Great result for Team Quebec here.
Nice. Nice little hit and roll. Rolls right over on the corner. It's going to force Team BC to a draw here. Nice.
A little bit of a different theme, though, here than what we saw this morning, though. Look at, I like this drawing around, being a little bit fearless and not being ultra-conservative, hitting those rocks in the back of the house.
Absolutely. Utilizing that center guard that they just threw up.
Again, you can see the sweepers communicating too, which is great to see at this level. Sometimes it's a common problem you can see with juniors, is just not communicating what's going on either with weight or line between the sweepers and the line caller in the house.
Slides a little bit deep into the back forefoot.
This will slide a little bit on the deep side, yes.
Comes out the other side, which will allow Quebec to make that takeout here with the in-turn. Quebec deciding to stay a little bit conservative with their strategy here, though, early on. Hit to sit 2. Good adjustment after the first 2. 2 really good throws here by Gargle. Very nice roll.
Yeah, good result for them, you bet. And again, this ice is almost arena-like, isn't it, for the viewers at home that maybe are used to watching a slam or a Scotties or a Briar. And again, the key maybe in the start, if you're not totally comfortable with the ice, is to throw maybe a little more rotation, a little more weight, kind of get used to what you're seeing, because the bust point for the rock is going to be quicker than you're used to seeing in your local club. And again, for some of these athletes, this is the first time they've played on ice like this. So.
Absolutely.
But another great result there.
Yeah, good roll there. Nice shot by the third, Mears. Rolls right over, gets shot rock at the back of the forefoot, just biting the back of the forefoot. Kind of Quebec changing strategies here. Going to go a little bit more offense, try and utilize that center guard and come around to the top four.
And again, I think it's the right call. I mean, you got rocks with backing, you got a guard to hide behind. A lot of good things can happen with this shot for them.
Seems like a hype playlist. We should almost be saving this for the 8th end.
And the viewers hear all that? They can hear Eminem right now? Oh, okay.
If we can hear it, they can hear it, can't they? A little bit heavy, but it's going to make a nice little tap to sit two.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that again. I think missed the correct way there, and again, nothing wrong with the opposition looking at two blues.
No. Quebec now sitting two. One fully buried at the back of the forefoot, one kind of got about edge to edge with the guard, back 8. BC looking to come top forefoot here, even maybe to the back one, do you think, Dustin? Will it go right back to it?
Yeah, well, you can already indicate that it's a little bit on the heavy side, so we're getting there regardless.
Yeah.
So.
Sweepers aren't touching this one.
It's got a long way to curl yet, but you know what? Not a lot of handle, so it will.
Look at this finish in.
Yeah.
Great late finish, and actually might have a good result here.
You know, again, the key there was the weight. You see how far that blue rock was tapped back, just halfway into the 12-foot versus that yellow rock that's almost out of the rings, and just that 2.5 feet of difference probably in weight shows you the difference there in curl.
Absolutely. Loving the aggression early, though. Teams are getting right after each other here.
And you know what? I think probably important for Quebec to do it. Again, they're looking for a win. They want to get back to 500 before they show up to the rink tomorrow. So for them, I think it is about being aggressive tonight if they want to hang a W.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like they've lost this one. This one might have picked something up, or they just, got by. Did she rack?
I don't think so. I think you're right. I think it just picked and lost its handle and then
yeah.
just traded handles there towards the end.
Throwing a little knuckleball down the sheet.
You know, for BC here, this is a big shot for them in terms of rock placement. Like, this really needs to be in that top 8, biting 4. You know, you go deep. You could leave a double here. You leave it short, they're going to have some options here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything deep leaves a double, or it might even leave a pocket that kind of gets Quebec out of this game end as well. Skip Richards' first shot here. Gracelyn Richards. 14-year-old skip. She might be one of the youngest skips we have at the event here.
She took lots of ice here, so we'll see what she kind of gets for finish here.
Girls are on it. They're switching, so they want it to curl. A little bit light. It's going to allow Quebec to make this tap on this side.
Or run.
Yeah. Depending on what kind of weight they decide to throw. So a little bit light there by Richards. Her line looked almost pretty good there, Dustin. If she has the right weight, might come in there right nice.
Absolutely, yeah. No. Again, not far off from being a great shot. You're talking about 4 feet.
So now we defer to the older Gargle here. Hannah Gargle is our skip. They're from Beaconsfield in Quebec. So we'll see if she can take advantage of this.
You ever been to Beaconsfield, Joel?
I haven't been to
Oh.
Beaconsfield. Couldn't tell you where Beaconsfield even is. That would be something we would have to look up.
They're on and off it early. She must be close. I think they actually need. Great shot here coming from the Quebec skip.
Beauty.
Beautiful shot. Little unlucky with the jams in the back. She's only lying 1, but good quality shot nonetheless.
Yeah, mission accomplished, that's for sure. Getting rid of that. Sitting 1.
What I do like about the BC skip here that she's acknowledged already is she does throw a little less rotation and she's taking lots of ice to accommodate for that. She's not just kind of putting the broom where she would normally be comfortable, maybe putting it at home and then having the sweepers pound the crud out of it to try and keep it straight. She's giving herself a lot of room, giving herself a good chance here to make this draw. And, you know, important shot. It is the first end, but you don't want to give your opposition maybe a free little tap or something or a free open draw for two. Let's make her earn it. And if this is made really well, it could be a good opportunity for them to steal.
Absolutely. Sweepers are indicating this one might be a little bit heavy. Good communication there by our lead in our second. This might be a time we might need to plan B. She's going to come right back to that one in the back 12 foot, it looks like.
Well, and again, it's common to see, right? Just a little over adjustment from her tight guard she threw on her first one. Just want to give it that little more, but again, just that little bit of an over adjustment, and Quebec's going to have a chance for their deuce here.
Mission accomplished if you're Quebec. Opening deuce. Not many better ways to start. She's looking for a time around 15 seconds, do you think, Dustin?
Well, that's definitely what it was this morning. It looks to be running very consistent to what we saw in the first draw, so I would think 15 will be pretty close to what they need.
She does have a little bit of backing if she wants to utilize it.
You can tell she came out of the hack pretty fast here. You could see she kind of hung onto the rock for as long as she can, but sweepers...
13 seconds,
you
so
know,
she's
she
definitely
does
going to need
nose
some
this
backing.
back one, but yeah, see again, she is heavy. She's quite heavy, actually. And you know what? BC's going to get away with this and just give up the one.
So the unintentional force there by BC holds Quebec to 1 point after one end of play. We got Quebec 1, BC 0.
And again, that error to me wasn't really ice conditions. That was a little more on the technical side. You could see she just came out of the hack a little too fast. She was trying to hang on as long as she could to the hog line, but again, she was kind of following the rock past when she released it, which just kind of tells you that she's coming out of the hack a little too fast on that one, and it's pretty tough for the sweepers to slow it down, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's one of those ones you can feel your nerves maybe get to you a little bit. Once again, they've been out here before. However, you get a draw for two early on. Sometimes your nerves get the best of you and you kick out a little harder than you want, and slides a little too far and leads to just the single point here for Quebec in the first end.
Getting a much better view here of just how much finish there is for the viewers here as the rock comes towards us here. You can see just great finish when their weight's appropriate, and that's a beautiful first guard there, just in front of the house, a couple feet, very usable, and that's exactly what Quebec wants to see here, and an even end.
Perfect shot there by Amy Upton.
This one looks a little bit on the heavier side, but they are coming up to a new side of the sheet, so
Richards looking
coming down.
Just looking just to keep it simplified strategy here early on. You see some teams might throw a corner guard, Dustin, however they've decided to come right in. And we are hanging on just on the side there, so trying to go for one of those, what I guess we would call a simple deuce, trying to keep things open. Go to the open side instead of throwing the corner guard. However, that will give the chance for Gargill and Team Quebec to come around the center guard. Looked a little bit heavy here by Upton. Rock's running a little bit different than the last one did. Definitely not as much curl when you get a little bit higher upper weight.
This looks like it might will hang around in the back of the house, but again, you kind of want to see some weights getting thrown that can be given to the sweepers. Let them work it a bit, and just fine tune these shots a little bit. Again, I think, again, even though we're in the second draw for Quebec and the first draw for BC, still kind of getting used to the sheet and learning the speed a bit.
Absolutely. Richard's calling about a hack waiter here. She's going to try and take out this blue rock at the back of the rings, try and stick around, maybe sit her 2. The important thing here is the weight, because if we're a little heavy, it will run straight, and you can kind of see that here. We're going to try and directionally sweep it here to try and help it out.
She'll get the chunk she needs, but again, it's giving Quebec another opportunity here to bury and make one real good, again, with their own color. And, again, when I see a shot like that, especially when you got a biter, much better to just kind of throw a heavy draw, let the sweepers take that, and have them come at you rather than giving them a free opportunity here to wrap.
Absolutely. Give a team the same shot twice, regardless of the level. Generally, they have a better chance of making it. So we'll see Quebec probably with a little better effort here. Try and put this at the top of the house.
You can see, though, to what you were talking about earlier with the weight being up, this is better weight, and look at it, it's all over the front guard just because it crashed, or the break point was that much earlier. That weight's top 8 if it gets by, right? And
absolutely.
Again, just getting used to the ice conditions. I think BC is right to try and get in there first, as opposed to maybe peeling a guard or. Calling for the draw here.
Absolutely. If she can wrap this around, kind of leave it top house, top 8, top 4. Really good position here for BC. She's a little bit wider, so this should run a little bit better. There's a little better sliding path out here. She does look a little bit heavy as well. Coming to the back of the house will allow Quebec a chance to follow it down. So she really wants this to sit.
It's trying its best to grind, finish pretty strongly at the end, but you're right, it does still give Quebec a good opportunity here to hide one behind those two Quebec guards in the front. I do find it fascinating, like she's asking to see how open it is, and that rock really should almost be non-existent to them. This is their chance to just make a good quality draw, get one top 4 here, and really put some pressure to BC. You're hiding behind your own color.
Yep.
So that rock in the back really should be non-existent right now. This one's going to get down to the back one, but they better, make sure they get it by their guard.
Especially facing 2, this is important to get by. She's going to snuck it by.
But we got to keep it just to catch on that backing. So
not a bad result, though.
Not a bad result.
Yep. Keep it around is the important thing there.
But again, one thing I would like to see a little bit here is we've seen basically what's been the common factor here, and that's heavy draws. We haven't really seen anybody, aside from the one rock that clipped their center guard, really be in front of the D-line.
Absolutely. Especially Team BC with Hammer here, they would like to utilize the front of the house. I think anything back here is kind of only helping Quebec.
Yeah, and that's why, again, like I understand this call from a defense side, but I still think it's a great chance for them to get one in there, get it buried, and have them come to you. But
absolutely. Trying to peel here. Looks like she'll get the top one. Kind of opens up the front a little bit. Still leaves the one center guard for Quebec. They're now sitting one at the back of the 8-foot with a center guard up. Kind of a good position here for Quebec.
And again, for Quebec here, short is, well, not too short, but short's probably better than long in this situation.
Absolutely. Get our sweepers involved a little bit here. On and off this one.
Yeah, this one looks closer to where they want to plant her.
Kind of taking off on them here. They got to watch it. Should get by.
No, I think they got to keep her here. This is going to be
real nice shot there. Nice shot by Kira
coming
Johnson.
Out the other side, which might give BC something here, maybe some sort of a tap, but a good shot nonetheless.
Nice shot by Kira Johnson. Well swept by Upton and Gargle. Just a quick update here while we got you. We got an update from the earlier games today. We had Ontario beating PEI in the girls' side. We had Saskatchewan beating the Northwest Territories. Alberta beating Quebec. Nova Scotia got the better of New Brunswick this morning in an all-Atlantic battle. And Manitoba girls, that was our broadcast earlier today, took home the win in the 8th end versus Newfoundland. Back to our game here. She got by here, Dustin.
She has squeaked her by.
Squeaked her by.
Oh, just about made the double. Good shot. Now Quebec needs to be thinking a little bit here. I mean, there's 3 yellows in the house here, so we got to be a little bit careful. Like hitting this on the outside half to 2/3 would be, disaster, really.
Yeah, absolutely. A little careful of it. Also, a rack's not good either because you're leaving 3 rocks in the house. So, very precise shot here needed by Kira Johnson of Quebec.
This is
close.
This is going to be an end definer, kind of. But
she's close.
Yeah,
they're on off.
She's got a good shot here.
Real good shot here by Kira Johnson.
Great toss.
Nice roll as well.
Good roll.
Sneaks out a little bit. However, that should be the side to leave it on. So, pretty good shot there by Kira Johnson. Well swept.
So she can probably see a half here, and she's calling for board weight. So
board weight
good
shot.
Positive release here.
She's close. They gotta go.
Oh no, it looks like the kiss of death here on the guard. Yes.
Racking there will leave Quebec here, still sliding 2 without hammer here in the second end.
So put your coach's hat on here, Joel. What are you playing here? Are you playing the guard? Are you putting another one in the paint? What are you doing here?
If I'm this team, I like our situation that we got set up. I kind of like a tight guard. Maybe going right at them, try and go after that steal. The only thing you're leaving with the tight guard is you're leaving the draw coming kind of around everything. To the top 4 is kind of you're forcing BC's hand to kind of that draw. They might play the... However, we seem like Quebec's going to hit this back one. Kind of sit 3, which is also never a bad thing.
I got to assume if she's hitting this one that we'll be expecting kind of a top house double there by BC. Well, not top house. Hit the top rock into the back 8 there. And
absolutely. That's the only worry here
shot.
for Quebec. The only worry here for Quebec is if you ever got to roll out. That's why maybe the guard may be the right call, because if you roll out here, all of a sudden you're a double away from giving up a deuce.
Well, I was going to say, too, if you nose this, if BC can throw enough weight, there might be a triple there to lie to. So I don't know if they've considered that. I know it's not easy, but you don't also want to leave that for them if it's there.
Yep.
Even rolling out here.
A little bit bigger weight.
Pretty big, but did relinquish 4 shots. So if they make this double, they will lie too.
That's always the worry there. That shot just kind of has to be pretty precise.
Well, and the other thing about it too is if they make this double, which is pretty much a nose hit, there's not a double back. It'll jam on that back blue, right?
Absolutely.
When this rock comes down, we'll probably have a better view of what we're talking about there.
I'm the curler.
She's close. She's got to hit it just off nose here. Got to stay on the high side. She's real close.
Made it.
Oh, stuffed it.
She didn't
Good
spin it around.
Good homage to Vic there. Stuffed it right at the back. The only benefit is she did stay in front of it, so it's going to ask Quebec to either deal with it or make a really good draw and not set up a double.
All right.
Because if they're calling the shot here, top 4. The only problem with that shot, top 4, if you ever leave kind of it fully exposed, you leave a double almost for 3 now, Dustin. So this
Yeah, but it's still probably the call. I mean, to hit that top yellow, where are you rolling safely without leaving a shot for 2 back, right?
Absolutely.
It's easy to jam it in that back if you are playing it to our right, and if you're playing it to our left, you've got to hit it pretty thin to not jam. So this is probably the call. It's just one of those, it's got to be made.
Yep.
It's got to be made.
I guess our miss would be light here. If she's light, maybe set up a guard and then kind of the shot for 2 or 3 is a little bit more challenging.
Well, yeah, but I just want to see her make it.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah, just put one in there in the top 4 and let her sweat on that.
Supers are on it. It's curling a little bit early, so they got to stay on it to get by this one. It's over curling a little bit.
It is, and this is where you want to hear a little communication, like, hey, we're racking, where's the weight, so we know where this is going to chap off to. This is a fine result. It's just fine, but again, for those listeners out there, that's the type of shot you want to do. What's the audible if it's coming in a little tight?
Yep. Too often in junior curling, they're not as quick to think of that plan B shot, I guess. So it's important as a young team to communicate the entire way down, so then you know exactly what kind of the result you want and if you have to change strategy a little bit.
That's right. Because even this, you know, if the weight wasn't communicated and it was a couple feet more, they'd probably tap it for second shot, and there would be a little bit of a tap for 2. You know, there still probably is a tap for 2 if they hair the guard, but
challenging shot here.
just some of those things in junior that you need to learn and talk about a little more.
Absolutely. Comes with experience, and with both these teams being so young, you can only expect them to get better and better throughout the week and better throughout their curling careers. So that's exactly what these Canada Games kind of provide for these kids.
Yeah, and again, we touched on that this morning too with, you know, for a lot of these athletes, this is the first time for them being on the national stage, and, you know, it's great to have that excitement, but it's also one of those, again, if you're putting your coach's hat on, how do you get these athletes prepared to play at this level?
Absolutely. So Richards has got to come by basically with a heavy draw, get by tight, and move that a couple inches, and she can get her deuce. Not an easy shot, but a shot that is going to take a good team shot here. Good communication the whole way down,
Yeah,
good line call.
sweeping's going to make it.
She's close.
You know what? She's throwing the right weight. She's definitely throwing the right weight.
They got to go.
I think they need to sweep it. And they definitely need to. Yay!
She guarantees her 1, though. That's a good shot.
Got the one. The fans like it.
She's guaranteed at least her 1. They might measure these 2. Might call out. We might see our first official measurement, Dustin. Do we got a sponsor for our measurement? We are going to see our first official measurement here.
And you know, you can never really, like, you want to talk about excitement.
Oh, you just hope the official does it right. We've seen a few at the Alberta Provincials this year. Maybe not done quite right. Led to a little bit of controversy. Blew up on Twitter a little bit. However, we got the best officials from across Canada, across Alberta here.
Oh,
no,
God,
absolutely.
I'm glad you've re-put the faith back for the fans.
Absolutely.
Here tonight. There. What do you think here if you're a betting man, Joel? Are you giving it to blue or yellow? I'm leaning towards blue.
Do I want to be the Vic and get it wrong every time? Or
Well, I just already said it, so you're yellow.
So
Because I took blue.
all right, guess I'm yellow, but I
Yeah.
think I'm wrong because I do agree with you that I didn't get it as blue.
You think it's blue?
So this is for 2 points. BC has already guaranteed their 1. They've got the 1. Dustin thinks it is only 1.
I do.
I like that she's involving the curlers here. This is really important at this age. Just kind of teach them the measurement thing, walk through that with them, and make sure they're both confirming before she keeps going. Here we go.
Oh, it's closer than we thought, but, you know.
You're right.
Yeah, thank you.
You're right. I hope to not say that for you many times this week. However, Dustin, you were right. 1 blue. Evens our score at 1-1 after 2 ends.
Yes.
That was a good shot there by Richards. Like I said, it was important to guarantee your 1.
And again, I like the calls.
Yep.
There was a lot of people are making calls to put pressure on the other side as opposed to maybe bailing and keeping it open, and it's great to see that early.
Yeah. You want to do our first around the ring segment here, Dustin? You can kind of give our viewers a little bit of an update, what's going on down all the other sheets. and start way down on sheet 2.
Yeah, and I'll wait
Oh.
for the zoom in, which was done properly.
Wow.
3-1 for Nova Scotia there over Saskatchewan, as you see heading into the third end. We'll head on to sheet 3. We've got a much more conservative flowing game there with a 1-0 lead for Nova Scotia as they play the third. We head into sheet 4, and I hope you all can read as well as I can and see that it's 1-0 there as well for Newfoundland and Labrador. We'll head to sheet 5, and looks like the skip there is blocking that score. So
We'll give you an update when we can. What do you think?
Oh,
there
it's
we go.
2-0.
It's
I was
2
going to go for a guess of 1-0. Glad I didn't. 2-0 there
for Newfoundland
over Ontario.
over PEI.
Over PI, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm already getting ahead to sheet 6 there where New Brunswick's playing on Ontario, and New Brunswick is up 2-0 there, playing the third. We'll move on to sheet 7 in a 1-1 tie as they play the third end. And just moving straight along to sheet 8 as Manitoba and the Territories on the ladies' side. 1-1 in what looks to be a conservative battle there as she hits an open rock. Sheet 9, Manitoba helped themselves to 4 in their first end, which helps them to get back on track after they suffered a tough loss this morning. We have our game, which we're all aware of, and then sheet 11, BC up 1-0 against Quebec. So back to our game. We've got a little bit of a guard there right off the center line, just off the center line, and we've got Quebec looking to draw one around there. So let's hope Upton here can just lob one in there.
Yeah.
That biting top 4, that'd be a nice little shot.
That'd be ideal. Great work by our camera girl there, giving us their Around the Rings. Another segment of Around the Rings brought to you by Dustin and Joel. I think we got a patent that. Sell it to Vic and Russ.
They don't have that?
Oh, they might.
Oh. This one's wrapping early, which just probably tells you it's a little bit on the light side of things here. And again, I can't stress it enough with the rotation on this type of ice. You gotta throw more handle than less. You're gonna get in trouble with less handle. It'll kind of do that and kind of just end up like a wounded duck and just duck to the right as that one did. And but again, they're going to catch on to this. It's all, this is part of the learning process here at the Canadian Winter Games.
Absolutely. Got to give out once again a shout out to our ice crew here. Dustin mentions our ice and a lot of swing and a perfect speed. Got to give a shout out to Wade and his crew here at the Red Deer Paternity Center. They do a fantastic job maintaining this ice. Obviously, this is a fantastic state-of-the-art facility, known throughout Canada as being one of the top facilities. It's 12 sheets. We're utilizing 10 this week, with 2 having bleachers completely full. So it's a 12-sheeter. This week's 10, and they do a fantastic job managing the ice.
Nothing screams curling like Jamaica Mon music, eh?
Telling me.
Wow. Ticka, 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 tack.
It's really getting me in the mood. This is good shot here by Gargle. Oh,
Good
don't want to lose it.
We got an interesting end here because those 2 guards are close enough together with the drag effect. Yellow really, BC has a big ability to manipulate that rock movement if they ever need to and run that into the pile.
So, Dustin, what do you mean by drag effect? Can you explain that to our viewers a little bit?
So when rocks are close together like you're seeing there or even frozen, you have the ability to actually drive the rock left or right depending on how you hit it. So it'll actually do the opposite of what you hit that top stone. So if we're, again, I'll wait for the camera to hit that angle, but as we're looking at it, if yellow is to ever throw a hit on the guards and hit the inside half, say, of that blue, the yellow rock would actually pull or drag to the right and then do the exact opposite if they hit it on the wide side of that rock. It would actually cause the rock to drag to the left, and that's just physics.
Awesome.
And force, and pushing the rock in a general direction because you're hitting it from a different angle than you would be square on.
Absolutely. So if they don't like listening to us, they at least learn something today.
Right you are.
Yeah.
We got a great end here formulated here. 3 good shots there. Quebec's got a great chance, though, to kind of get that shot rock right on the tee line and kind of be that rock that the rest of this end is going to be centered around if this is made really well.
Absolutely. You saw a good shot there by Duncan to come, but it slid a little bit too far if you had to be picky, just because it slid behind the tee line. Allows Gargle a chance to come right down to it here. They're working on it hard. They got to get it by. Might have lost this one, though. A little bit light, and it'll lead to the rack.
And now we'll not have to worry about the drag effect that we just taught.
No, everything we just said, disregard. BC now without hammer, sitting. Ooh,
I don't know if I
one or
like the
two.
guard call, I'll be quite honest. It's
Kind of guarding for your life early in the end, isn't it?
yeah, it's forcing them to have to draw hopefully top 4, and if they do that, then what?
Absolutely. Oh, I like that one a little bit better.
I kind of agree. I think this is the call. You got a great chance here to really put some pressure on Team Quebec, so why don't you do it?
Yep. Like you say, lob one in there. Kind of Christmas tree it a little bit. Got to get a little bit behind that blue.
Yeah, again, you've got kind of 4 feet of error here.
If you can get right behind there, if Mears can throw a good one, get right behind there.
You just do not want to see this on the back of the button. Let's see some curl here.
It's starting to finish. It's hanging out a little bit, and we don't want to sweep it just because it looks a little bit heavy. You don't want to be behind the button. There it is, Dust, right where you called. Not ideal.
You know, and again, for the viewers at home, that's a good example of, the sweeper should need to be communicating that with the skip. Just saying, if it's back 4, make sure you're sweeping that to back 8. And because, again, for this now, if this is made really well, it's going to take at least 2 shots to get it out of the button area. So,
absolutely. Update for our viewers that are watching the Scott Tournament of Hearts final that is currently on between Alberta and Ontario. They're currently playing in the 10th end. Scorer Ontario, Rachel Holman, is up 6-5 over Alberta's Chelsea Carey. So that game coming right down to the wire here. I think we're in thirds rocks with Ontario with the hammer leading by 1. Back in our sheet, it looks like Quebec was a little bit light there, Dust.
yeah, a little bit tight. Just chopped off the guard. It might have got her to, probably had top 4 weight there, though. And
just lost the line a little bit early.
Just racked on the guard. But BC's got a chance here. I think that is the call here. Let's wrap one around there. If you get one top 4, pressure is definitely on for Team Quebec. Pearl Jam now in the background there for all you viewers.
Wide range tonight. Supers are indicating this one is a little light. Love that communication. If they can get that right from the very beginning, you see good things from this team, BC.
You're right, because you can get a lot out of it. If it's very light, which, again, they're still pounding to get this around and may very well do it, but if it's very light, the skip can kind of call line to guard this and stagger it. And, not all is lost there. That's not a bad way to miss that shot.
Nope. Good communication there by the BC front end. Kind of leaves a tap or an angle, but she kind of took that away.
That tap is incredibly hard, though, because she can barely see all that blue. Like, you'd have to be... It'd be so easy to hit it on the inside and get nothing out of it is the problem. Might be...
What do you like here, Dust? You like coming around everything?
Tempted to double peel. You might even get some fun out of ramming that blue into the side pile of guards there. You might get something happy out of that where... I don't know, if you tap that one on the center line, again, it just visually, it looks like it's tapping it to the wide side, which you don't want. But that being said, she can get to the nose just, I think.
Yep. She's going to take that on here. It's going to be an out turn. She's going to come back, trying with about, ooh, she's coming out heavy. I was going to say throw a little bit less weight than this. However, she's come out with quite a bit of weight. She's going to need this to curl or she might come away with nothing. Trying to push it over there. Like you said, Dust, hitting.
It looked natural to do that is the problem there. Very well thrown stone, really. Like, she missed that by a fraction of an inch. But
still not the result she needed, leaving BC sitting 2 or 3 here at the back of the forefoot.
And I get trying to make something really good when you really want it, but you gotta give your skip a chance here, and that's why I think playing that double peel open things up. Again, you might have got some spin action off those ones in the that are acting as corner guards and even spill your blue rock there in the top 12 into the pile. That was there. That was a possibility. So
Absolutely.
but now BC's got a free chance here to lie 3 or 4 here, and
I think they've just
really
called
put
the
the heat
guard
on.
here, Dust.
oh, are they guarding the
think
center guard?
Yeah,
Okay.
guarding everything.
You know what? That's a good call too. It's a very good call.
Kind of take away Quebec's last kind of lifeline here. Last good angle that they have.
You gotta be careful here because this is curling early, so you want to kind of just over and off here.
Got to make sure it's over.
Over and off.
Make sure it's over, then get right off this thing. But they got to get it over. Oh, no.
Now we've got a run back. If it's hit perfectly, she might. No. Could she lie too? I doubt it.
She might lose her blue one on
I
that.
think so.
Just because of the angle. However, it's important to probably, with only a couple shots left in this end, trying to get shot rock is important here for Quebec.
The nice thing about this shot for her is she can make it a couple different ways. Like, she doesn't have to dead nose it. She could hit it on the high side, and a lot of good things can happen. Looks like she's going to throw an easier weight, which, great for getting the sweepers involved. And
Absolutely.
let's see what she's got in her.
Skip Hannah Gargle. Like we said earlier, out of Beacons Field, Quebec.
Which you have not visited yet.
I have not visited. However, we figured out where it is. It's just a little bit southwest of this big city of Montreal. So the older Gargle here with her sister sweeping for her. Her sister's indicating it's a lot of weight out of her hand.
And that's it. It was just too much weight for that ice, and
Not the result she was looking
not
for,
the
was it?
result she was looking for.
She's almost kind of cut herself off from any shot on that side now, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's kind of staggered those blues, and they aren't usable now for her, which if they kind of guard the hole here,
Guard the hole might be a
might
really
have
tough
to
score.
draw wide, maybe get it there with the right weight. Probably could.
Yep. Especially with the swing we're seeing.
Yep.
Just a testament to our ice and our ice crew here in Red Deer. It's important not to take these ones lightly, though. Richards with her last one hogging, and got to make sure that you get there.
No, it's a 1-1 game, exactly. You don't want to give her a much easier shot to maybe give up a steal of 1. And, again, it's an odd end.
Yep.
So giving up a steal of 1 here is not the end of the world for Quebec at all. Again, I like that the sweepers are communicating this is heavy, so they can make a line judgment here on what to do. Maybe chap off this rock and close off this hole. Just a fine shot.
Great shot.
Great shot.
Good communication there by our second. Really good communication by...
Oh, you're just going to throw the lead under the bus? You don't even know what she was saying.
That's true. I can't hear from here. However, I could see Duncan's hand motions. Sorry to there, Brimwell, Washington, and if your grandparents and parents are watching at home.
Actually make a comment.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, guys. She did a great job as well. They're all doing their best.
It's a big shot here. She's going to have to... I do think she can score if she hairs the guard.
She's going to have perfect weight, perfect line to score, I think, though, Dust. It's a tough one.
Really don't think there's much there on the right-hand side as we're looking at it.
Scott Turner, the Hearts game is coming right down to the last shot here. Looks like Rachel Holman has to draw the full 4 foot to win. Chelsea Carey making a fantastic last shot just to make Rachel throw this last one. We'll update you on that as we watch our last shot here. Hannah Gargill looking to draw for her single point. Going to take a real tough shot to get her single point. However, if she would cut her down to 1, like Dustin said, that would be a big win here late in the end. It's all happening at once, Dustin.
So Hannah got all the way to the broom here. So I got to say, if this doesn't get by, it's not on her. She's definitely threw it right up the stick.
She's close.
She's just haired the guard.
I gotta go.
Gotta go.
Keep going, girls.
Oh, that's a heck of a try. Too bad it will give up a steal of 2, but that's a great effort.
Meanwhile, in the Scott Tournament of Hearts, Alberta has stolen 1 to go to the extra end. Chelsea Carey stays alive.
Oh, baby.
What drama here in curling. Whether it's on our sheet or over in Sydney, Nova Scotia, curling is the sport you got to turn into. So BC now with the advantage, up 3-1 after our 3 ends of play.
If you're the lead here, you really want to making sure that this is in the house, and obviously in the top part of the house, but you really don't need to be thinking about being short here. Make them make a shot. But again, as we were watching this rock come and just taking a harsh right turn, left turn as we look at it, but right turn for the rock, this kind of speaks to, again, if with the kind of swing we're seeing here, you gotta have rotation. If you're gonna slide all the way out to the broom and kind of what we call suitcase it, that's kind of the result. And this is exactly the type of thing that Quebec wants to see now. They've got the opportunity now to draw around a corner, keep the middle open, and it's one of them shots that can, kind of cool off the momentum you've just got from stealing 2.
So a little bit tight there by Upton, racks off and rolls into the rings. Not a bad result though, you get a corner guard out of it and you roll into the rings. However, getting by I think would have been the main objective.
But even here, like for BC, if they knows this, if I'm Quebec, I'm ignoring it and going around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gone from something clearly from Jamaica Mon to Eminem to now we're on Leonard Skinnerd. What's next? George Jones? George Strait? Alan? Like it's got to be something country because
we've hit everything.
Well, we've hit most of it. We haven't hit classical yet.
No, and I don't think we've hit any of that new stuff that the kids like listening to. That like techno, or the
is techno in?
Or
I don't think it is.
Ariana Grande.
You're a teacher. You should know that.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more Ariana Grande, that kind of thing.
Is that?
Yeah, she's big right now.
Quebec looking to make the roll here, and we need some curl.
Ooh, hit it right on the nose.
Not far off. But again, that speaks to, you throw that little more weight, you got to be very precise on those roll hits. Might be somewhere you want to see a bit of a board weight, hit a thick half, get those sweepers involved, make some shots. Very exciting time, though, for the family members watching this. When, again, you talk about the Scotties, and how many of the girls just on that sheet of ice tonight have played in this? Quite a few.
Absolutely. Rachel Holman, I believe, was the winner back in 2007.
All right.
Her and Emma Miskew, and I think Jamie Sinclair out of the United States was also a part of that team.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? I'm trying to think if any of the Alberta girls were on that team or any of the teams.
No, I don't think, unless Chelsea was maybe out of Manitoba. But none of the Alberta-born girls were, But still, like, very exciting. Again, you have people like Mark Kennedy competed in the Canadian Winter Games so many years ago.
Yeah. It was so long I don't even
Brett
remember.
Gallant. It's just, you said it right, you nailed it this morning. There's somebody on the sheet of ice here that we're probably going to see in the Olympics here in the next 8 years.
Absolutely. We're watching our future Olympians. No matter what sport you're at the Canada Winter Games, you're going to see a future Olympian somewhere. So Red Deer's done an amazing job supporting these athletes. I've been to multiple events. Dustin, you said this morning as well, you've been to multiple events, and they're selling out across the city. We're getting awesome support from the entire city. So testament to the city and testament to everybody involved.
CBC trying to direct this one as it's just a little bit on the wide side and enough
Just
to
enough.
kiss it out.
So we were explaining that this morning too, but that directional sweeping, kind of sweeping with the path of the rock, Dustin, you explained it this morning. Do
Well,
you wanna
I did. So why don't you explain it this evening?
So when you're trying to keep a rock straight, obviously you're trying and scratch. I guess they call it scratch the path, kind of in the opposite direction the rock is curling. And the idea behind the directional sweeping, like we saw on that last rock, is they're kind of sweeping with the direction the rock is curling to try and help it over there. Dustin touched on this morning too. The new pads that they kind of have, kind of mandating the pads that the players use, don't do quite as much as they used to. However, any little thing helps, and kind of that directional sweeping is kind of one of those things that may give those teams with a little bit better sweeping a little bit of an advantage this week.
Yes. This one, sadly, will not be participating in the rest of the end, that stone, but we'll see what Richards does here with that corner, if she's going to peel it or draw away from it. I like this call of just getting rid of it. It's never, ever going to help them.
No. She wants to roll to the middle here. She's called to roll to the middle. However, that will still allow Quebec kind of the opportunity to get her behind it. But down 2 points, I think Quebec's kind of looking for any guard to use.
And I agree, and I think if you're BC, you need to be, again, cognizant of the scoreboard. You're up 2. It's an even end. Great to keep it open and force them to consider blanking. She's got a good one here, though. She might even roll this on for a biter, which would be a great result for
sneaky.
BC. Well played, well called. Great weight call there is the key.
Sneaky little shot there. Nice shot by Mears. Well called by Richards. Little Black Betty finishing up for our fans. I think we're about due for some country music, aren't we, Dust?
I think so.
Yeah. Well,
oh, no, we're back to Pearl. Aren't we? No. This is Kurt Cobain. This is Nirvana, is it not?
this is before I was born, Dustin, so you're stuck on that one.
No, it's Nirvana.
Yeah.
So Quebec looking now here like they're committing to trying to blank and keep the hammer into the break. So we'll see now if they can do that. Richard just kind of, and again, great time for their third here to just get used to draw weight, get a free crack at hitting the top of the lid, and getting comfortable with the ice again. Again, this is their first game of the event, so.
Yeah, they got to be happy with the way their first game's going here. Up 3-1 here in the fourth end against Quebec. Kind of getting used to the draw weight. Once again, Dustin, like you talked about earlier, we're seeing a lot of overcurls. Not much handle here, and we're kind of seeing it lost a little bit.
Yeah, and you got to be careful because, again, the other thing to be cognizant of that I wouldn't expect maybe the juniors to be fully aware of, but the coach should be, is when you get a lot of people in the rink, too, the air is obviously going to get warmer. With the air getting warmer, obviously the ice is more inept to get flat. And if it gets flat and you don't have a lot of handle on your rock, you're going to lose them. They're going to overcurl. They might lose their handle, take the other direction. And so, that again, I know we've talked about it a couple times, but that's the importance of why you've got to have a lot of rotation under these ice conditions and allow your sweepers to carry the rock.
Absolutely. We're seeing quite a bit of fans out there. It looks like Manitoba's got...
Oh, we just watched somebody from New Brunswick fall in the stands.
Oy. It's got to hurt.
Oh, she's getting a cheer, though.
Maybe a hockey team here supporting. It's always good to see. I think that was one of my favorite parts about being in the Canada Games in 2007 is just the atmosphere that the teams start to develop. Whether you're a hockey player, a ringette, any other sport, you come and support the different people from your province, and it adds to that atmosphere. Like right now, having Manitoba having their entire hockey team here, I can imagine that's really motivating for the Manitoba curlers here that are out here today.
Oh, that's Manitoba's team. Oh, sorry. I thought that was New Brunswick. My bad. But you're right. It is Manitoba.
I'm going Manitoba just because the buffalo hats.
Yeah,
that some
okay,
of
I
them
got
are
it.
Yeah,
yes.
you got it.
But you are right. It's basically a mini Olympics. That's what it is. And it has that atmosphere to it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of patriotism. I don't know what the word is because it's provincial.
Yeah.
It's not
provincialism.
Provincialism.
Provincial.
But it's great to see, nonetheless.
Absolutely. We get a little distracted here, but we're back to our game. BC trying to sit right here on the nose would be a good shot.
It's a good result.
Yep.
It's a good result. So again, with that guard being so tight, do you want to even try a roll behind it? I think you do still, but
Yep.
what do you think?
It'll allow BC for a short little run back. However, I think you got to make the team play the most difficult shot possible. So
That's right. Could leave an easy blank if they don't hit it. If they hit a half rock or something and roll out.
absolutely. So Quebec looking to roll a couple feet here to, I guess, your guys' left. A nice little roll here would allow maybe a deuce to set up late in the end. Gargle a little tight out of her hand. The sweepers are going to get on this early.
And now they're off it. But again, if you're paying attention, you see that extra rotation and that rock runs that much truer. She's really close to making exactly what she called, and that's a great shot. That's a very good shot. I think that's better than rolling dead buried.
Yep, absolutely.
Because now there is that little bit of I cannot miss this wide. Now again, if she can actually also at the same side, hit 2/3 and lie 2 and force her though. So little bit of
Gamesmanship back and forth.
yeah. But again, that was kind of the worry of rolling him behind there, that it was probably going to leave some sort of a chance for her to make a hit and roll and lie 2 and force your hand here and taking one.
Yep.
Maybe something that should have been talked about a little bit more with the group.
Maybe a risk you're willing to take here down 2, though. I think it's the only way you're kind of generating 2. What do you think? Or do you take the blank at this stage?
I just think the probability of getting 2 versus the probability of them hitting and rolling and forcing you, and you would rather keep hammer than get one here, I would think. But
absolutely. A good shot by Richards could set that up.
We're going to have to sweep this one. There won't be...
Jeez.
Oh, no.
And the risk pays off for Gargle.
Yes, it does. And it'll be a free draw for 2 for Quebec.
Once again, looking for around that 15-second mark, hog to hog. So when I say 15 seconds hog to hog, it'll be the fall or hog line at the far end. They'll start the time, and they're looking for about 15 seconds in between that. So for our viewers back at home, 15 seconds is quite quick ice. The kids are getting a real treat here at the Canada Winter Games in Red Deer. We'll kind of give you guys a time and see how close she is.
Oh, I think there was a burnt.
The second has
Must
burned
have
this.
burnt it. And
so a burned stone, Dustin. Can you explain that to our viewers? What just happened a little bit?
well, looking, you feel bad, but it looks like their sweeper, as we were looking at on the right, touched the rock with her broom, which, actually the correct rule is to let the rock finish and let the offending team make the decision, but what it usually means is if it's been hit before the hog line, it's usually eliminated. If the tick or if you've touched the rock after it's touched the hog line, because sometimes it can be considered deliberate, the offending team can decide what the outcome was of that shot. So unfortunate for Quebec. They're going to go into the breakdown one without, but nonetheless not out of it yet.
Not out of it all. So BC leading 3-2 after our 4 ends of play here at the Canada Winter Games in Red Deer, Alberta. We'll be back after our break. We'll kind of give you an update down to the last couple shots here at the Scott Turner Hearts as well. We'll go around the rings when we come back here at the 2019 Canada Winter Games. We're back here at the 2019 Canada Winter Games. Back in the action right after watching a thrilling finish to that Scott Terminal Hearts, Dustin.
Yes, maybe not the way you'd like to see it end, but congratulations, Team Alberta.
Absolutely, Chelsea Carey.
Lots of steals late.
Lots of steals.
2 or 3, didn't she have? 2 or 3 steals?
Quite the resilience. I think they were down at one point in that game 5-1. 5-1, battled all the way back with steals in 6 and 7 and 10 and 11. That is resilience, Dustin. That's how you, if our curlers are watching at home and you're wanting to watch resilience.
Do not give up.
Do not give up. Absolutely. Congratulations, Chelsea Carey. And I don't know what that means for our broadcast. She was supposed to show up with me and maybe do some commentating, but now that she's a Scotties champion, Canadian champion, might be stuck with Dustin.
Well, a great opening guard for Quebec. Couldn't drop that in a better spot. Nice and tight to the house, splitting the center line.
Absolutely. So just to recap here, we got BC leading 3-2 after 4 ends of play. BC with the hammer too here in the 5th end. Teams look pretty good on time too. We've touched on this earlier in the day, but however, the teams receive 30 minutes of thinking time. So 30 minutes of thinking time starts. As soon as the first rock, the other team's rock comes to rest, your thinking time will start, and it'll stop once you cross the close tee line. So that is our thinking time, and they get 30 minutes of that per game. Both teams are well over 16 minutes here, so they're both right on pace where they should be. Teams are doing great.
And they both have both their timeouts remaining.
Absolutely. We haven't seen many timeouts
We
today.
saw one this morning.
One this morning, yep. Quebec, even though they have the center guard up, have decided to hit this yellow one over on the side. That may be due to the scoreboard and kind of not wanting to give up a deuce.
I'll be a little bit on the honest side there. I'm a little surprised by that call. I mean, you threw up that center guard. The intent should be to use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or even put a high guard on front of it, up high in front of it, and really set the tone for the end, right?
Absolutely. However, she stuck around. It's going to force BC to kind of play on this one way over on the side. I guess it doesn't force them, but however they've decided to.
Well, if you're BC, you like this right now. You're keeping play away from the center, and you're not going to like the outcome of this one, though.
Ooh. Just missed it on the high side. Our sweepers tried to help her out down there.
Now we've got Quebec kind of getting their chance now to put a little pressure on BC here and wrap one top 4.
Sitting one over there on the side, 12-foot. We got the younger Gargill here, Amber Gargill, trying to wrap one around there and take full advantage of that miss by BC. A little bit light here, Dustin. The sweepers are working on it. Just a little bit light.
A little bit on the late side. Be interesting to see, though, if that stagger comes into play now. There is no ability to run a rock back and make some sort of a run back or an angle blank type shot. So we'll see. We'll see if that comes into play.
Yeah. Duncan's chance here for BC, trying to hit that same rock over on the 12-foot that they did the time before. Wolosh here is working for her, trying to get it to move over, and she's got enough of it to take it out this time, but she's looking like she's going to roll through the rings. It'll allow Quebec another chance to wrap around now that stagger guard that Dustin was talking about.
So again, the nice thing about this is now if they make a good quality draw here, it'll take a minimum of 2 shots to get it out.
Absolutely. And given Gargill, she just threw this same shot, was a little light. You'd hope she makes a little bit of adjustment here. Gets it out to the broom, and she can make a nice one. Girls are working
Sweepers
on it
are
again.
doing what they can here, and they've done a great job holding that out there.
Just got to go for weight. Now that they're by, you got to go for weight.
And you know what? That not a bad not an awful result by any means. You know, they got a piece around it. BC needs to make a decision if they're going to try and hit what they can see, maybe draw around everything, or well, there's no aura. It looks like she's kind of set on. I guess you could look at the double peel, but
Richard's
kind of an interesting situation because drawing around isn't really a gimme. If you come around as we're looking at it up our right side or right-hander's in turn or out turn, sorry. You know, it could leave a slash off that one in the top 12, so it's not an easy situation right now for BC. Put your coach's hat back on there, Joel, and what do you like here? Do you like this call?
As a team, I kind of do like the double peel, I guess, just based on the scoreboard. Kind of those are the rocks that are going to hurt you late in this end, especially with Quebec trying to take it to you and being a little bit more aggressive, trying to get things around center guard. I don't mind the double
only thing
peel.
Scary about this is if this hit too thin, it might just kick that one rock just like I'm seeing.
Not bad, though. You got the center guards off. Yes, you move them into the rings, but you're going to have a shot here, I think. Quebec doesn't. They're going to try some kind of tap here. However, getting those rocks off the center line, I think, is only going to help Team BC going forward.
So as this tap comes into play here, just angling it to the center line, and not exactly what they were looking for, but again, not a bad way to miss it. Playing the double here, and we're going to get a little too much curl. And this gives an interesting little opportunity here for Quebec. I think you make a real good tap. Maybe get an inch, get your shooter. Well, I was thinking a little more towards actually over curling it a hair and getting them staggered, and then you could really protect it.
Playing a little bit of tap back here, Dustin. Sorry, I missed the call. Is she going to play a little tap, or is she playing a guard?
She's playing a tap.
Tap, perfect.
It's got a long way to curl with this kind of weight, but it's trying. It is trying. She's going to get something out of this, something good.
Rock's curling late. We see a lot of that late finish here in Red Deer. Late finish, bumps it a little bit, gets it just short of biting the top forefoot. However, she's made a nice little roll there to kind of.
It's not a bad result. It has left a triple.
BC could throw this hard enough just off nose on the coming high side if you throw the out.
Just a hair on the end and kiss 3 blueberries bye-bye.
Yep. That would actually leave Team BC sitting 2 if she could make this triple. So it'd be a big change of momentum for this end. Mears has certainly thrown it hard enough. A big extension there on a release. Girls are trying to work it forward, trying to keep it straight.
Just going to be a hair on the wide side, and you know that's unfortunate because she didn't miss that by a lot. Now Quebec, you know, throw a lob of guard on here and could put a lot of pressure here on Team BC.
Absolutely. So Quebec looking to take full advantage of that miss there by Mears. Trying to maybe get a guard here, maybe halfway, Dustin, would you say? Tight halfway?
Yeah, exactly. This is that techno music you were talking about earlier.
Absolutely, yeah, that kind of dance music.
Dance in your pants.
Yeah. We're hitting everything here today. Anything from Nirvana to, what else have we heard?
We had Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam.
We had Leonard Skinnerd. We had Eminem.
And this dance music.
And Dance in Your Pants.
A good guard there. It's overcurled a little bit, opening the shot rock.
Pretty good result though, because even if they do hit shot rock, they're gonna be on the open, which might give Quebec either a hit and roll back or an opportunity to draw, perhaps. But
guard the right side, I guess, because if you leave that double side, all of a sudden BC's sitting 2 on you.
That's right. Again, if you could drop it, you'd have it a little bit. You'd probably have it splitting center, but not a bad result.
Is the music just louder tonight? Is that why we're hearing it more?
Really? It's definitely a part of the telecast. There's no doubt about that.
Viewers are probably sick of hearing us talk about it, though.
Manitoba's cracked the game over on sheet 8 as the ladies have taken a 9-1 lead over the Territories heading into the 5th.
Maybe we'll hit another around the ring segment after the end of this end.
Why don't we go around the rings after this end?
Around the ring with Dustin and Joel.
BC here. This is going to need a little bit of help on the sweep here. Oh, the old kiss of death.
It's kind of unlucky to get by that guard and rack on that one too. So
it is, but I hope again Quebec's got to be cognizant of this biter. You can't just leave this wide open in the 12-foot and leave a double for 2. I'm not sure I would hit. I'm just saying I kind of really like the tap and just roll your shooter in an inch, half buried. I do think that's the call, but.
She's going to decide. She's played the hit over here. She's decided to play the hit. Maybe roll as close as you can to that other one, or are we trying to stay just out here, Dustin?
I think with that ice, she's rolling. Again, I think it's a very conservative call. You tap this a half a foot, roll the shooter in an inch, and real tough for BC to score.
Supers are on and off it here. She looks like she's got a good one.
She does, and actually this could roll to a real good spot for her.
Oof.
And what do I know about curling? Right?
Absolutely
look at
nothing.
that shot. That's a great shot.
Dustin, she just accomplished her tap, and she made the hit. What a great curling shot there.
Very tough. I mean, she make the double to blank the end, couldn't she?
I think that's the big thing here, scoreboards management for BC. You play the hit. If you get the double and roll out, obviously you're fantastically happy with your blank. However, if you make one of these go away, you're giving up a steal, you're still tied up with hammer, and you're still in good control of this game.
For the curling fans watching, I was just thinking, just watching some of the highlights of the Scotties final. It's been a long time since I've seen a steal to win a final in either a Brier or a Scotties. Wouldn't you say, Joel? What's the last one you can remember? Putting you on the spot, I know.
Yeah, absolutely, but I don't remember the last time. It's been a lot of last shots being made in the last couple of years.
It's unfortunate for Rachel. Again, as an Albertan, obviously happy for Alberta, but unfortunate for Rachel. And we've got a bit of an error here. Steal a 2 for Quebec here in the 5th, and
that will change our momentum. Quebec stealing 2, now leading 4-3 after 5 ends of play, taking the lead on Team BC after the unfortunate miss there. Back to your question, Dustin. I believe last year's Scotties final actually ended in a miss when Carrie Anderson missed her last shot, led to Jen Jones stealing. So Actually,
I'm glad you remembered that.
just
'cause
last
I-
year. However, the game was almost out of touch at that point. However, it did end in a steal, which
It
ended.
did. Hard to argue it.
So we might as well do another segment of Around the Rings, kind of give you guys an update from across the sheets. We can go start way over like we like to do over on sheet 2.
Yeah.
Over there we got Team Nova Scotia currently leading 6-3 over Team Saskatchewan, I believe. Team Nova Scotia. So that's the women Team Nova Scotia leading 6-3. The next sheet over on the guys' side of things, Team Saskatchewan. The boys are leading 6-3, so kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum there. Going over to sheet 4, we got Team PEI. The females are leading 4-2 over Team Newfoundland.
Great to see them make a comeback after
Absolutely.
this morning's defeat.
Team PEI boys also making,
No.
looking at the wrong sheet. Newfoundland boys leading Team PEI 4-2 after 5 ends of play, playing in their 6th. Going over to our Ontario versus New Brunswick games. New Brunswick leading in the girls' side. Score of 7-3 after 4 ends of play. On our boys' side of things, our boys are leading 4-2. The Ontario boys are leading the New Brunswick boys 4-2 after 5 ends of play. Now we have a little bit of lopsided scores on these ones. The Manitoba girls leading 9-1 over the Northwest Territories after 4 ends of play, playing in their 5th end. On the men's side of things, we got the boys, Manitoba men, also leading quite handily after 5 ends of play, 9-3 on that score. On our featured sheet, like you know, Quebec just stealing 2, now leading 4-3 over Team BC. And on the far side of things, the boys match between BC and Quebec has BC currently leading 3-2 after 5 ends of play.
And on our 6th end here, we had Quebec come into the button, right on the pinhole actually, and now they've BC hit that, and then we've had a miss here. So BC has an opportunity here to split the house, it looks like is the call, and lie there too.
Getting a deuce here would be BC's biggest goal, trying to bounce back, score in the even end.
Well, I do think it's important that they score here in the 6th end, like you say. It's an even end, even being tied up and dictating in the odd end how that end is played out, I think is important, especially at this level. You know, you brought up a great point this morning, Joel, where you said, you know, a lot of these teams are used to dominating at their local level. They probably, you know, there's a reason they're representing their province. And now they're facing talent that maybe they're not used to seeing all the time. And this is what we talk about with experience, where learning here in tight scoreboard situations where the other team maybe isn't giving you as many opportunities to pounce on them, how to manage that and how to deal with that. And I think this is a great example of it, where you know you've got a 6th end here where there's going to be no guards in play and you're down 1. You need to figure out a way to score a multiple here.
Absolutely.
If you want to maintain momentum, or not maintain, if you want to re-get momentum back from what you had earlier in the game.
Absolutely. And with BC sliding kind of into the forefeit there, allowed Quebec a shot. Maybe a double opportunity. However, they just made the single takeout, rolled kind of the side of the forefoot. BC now has an opportunity to hit this and kind of roll to the side to kind of keep setting up their their deuce. Weight control is important here on these takeouts, especially when you want to sit around. A rollout would be disaster for Team BC. Mears is going to try and high side this one. Trying to keep it around.
You know, and a great result. That was actually more weight than she called, but a great result. And again, it speaks to communication again. You know, you saw the sweepers indicate there that the weight was up. Allows the skip to kind of do the audible with the line call, and maybe instead of hitting a half rock to 2/3, recognize you got to hit more like 3/4 and making that roll about as good as they could.
Absolutely. It's going to force Quebec back to this rock right in the middle, just off the button. They're going to try and roll as close as they can over to this rock on the 12-foot. Maybe set up a double. However, it seems to be hanging out here. And it will roll out of the rings.
And again, when we talk about national experience, playing at this national level, and Joel, you have, so you can either tell me I'm out to lunch or back me out on this, but that's one of them small details where it's really important to hang around. Like now BC has a chance to split the rings, make 6, 12, you know, not 12, makes 10 feet of separation between the two stones. And really, as long as they're making 3/4 to full shots, solidify a deuce, where nosing it makes them, have to think about where their rock placement is and rolling to the correct spots. You agree? Or?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things we focused on when we were here at the Canada Winter Games is we wanted to almost err on the side of underthrowing things, just because it allows your sweepers a little bit better chance to manage the rocks, gives the people in the house a little bit chance to manage the rocks. So we made it as a focus as a team to when we got hyped up, we almost tried to underthrow things. Obviously, you're not going to try and underthrow it on purpose. However, that's what you're looking forward to do, because if you're looking to underthrow, you tend to have a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of nerves, and you tend to throw close to the right weight. Overthrowing things kind of leads to disaster in these kind of events.
Well, again, for curling fans, I think sometimes they're thinking about that big shot that gets made, and they forget about these ends where really good teams get out of these ends. And it's because of hitting and rolling into correct spots, giving their player a chance to either make that hit and roll freeze or get the rock set up to make a double, as opposed to just giving them a free deuce.
Absolutely. Not taking anything for granted. On the same side of things, Team BC right now could ignore this one over on the side since they are already sitting the one. However, they've decided to hit it. The hit, once again, takes a little bit more precision, because now if you don't roll into the rings.
You put your coach's hat on? Do you like the skull, or would you play the draw?
Coach's hat, I like the draw personally. We just threw it, just saw it the shot before.
Bigger degree of error.
Yep, absolutely. You got a little bit more house to work with. Because right now that she's hit on the outside of this rock, even if it comes out of the rings here, which it looks like it's going to do, that's going to allow Quebec to hit on the other side just to kind of neglify that deuce that you just had set up.
Yeah, and these are those small little antidotes that, again, if you're down one with playing a good team, and you're looking at that, just what you said, you've got maybe 3 or 4 inches of error there, where a draw you've got, as long as you're near the broom, you've got several feet of error. It's just, like you say, putting probability into your favor.
Absolutely. Now with nothing in play, Quebec makes the hit. Even though they rolled out, they got nothing in play. They're not worried right now. BC has no guards up, trying to orchestrate a deuce almost out of nothing here, which is a little bit difficult.
Who is running the music? I'm sorry.
I believe that's your wife.
Oh. Didn't know that, but.
Shout out to Dustin's wife, Whitney, running the music right now that we keep commenting on.
Here's a great example, though. So they didn't really touch this. They thought this was heavy, and look, we've got a perfect. You call that shot a shot earlier right now, and it's Quebec looking at 2 yellows, not you now hoping for a hit and roll out or a miss.
Absolutely. Comes with experience, though. You talk with your coach after the game. This would be one of those talking points that you kind of bring up. Just to kind of give them that experience, because going forward, you kind of don't want to make that mistake, especially as we get later in this week. You kind of got to have that experience and kind of know what kind of went wrong and where we had a deuce maybe set up, and kind of teach the girls along the way.
Well, it's interesting you talk about the topic of experience, because that's what it is. Like you say, you get to this level and you're playing teams that are very comparable to you in talent, and something like momentum isn't something you're maybe used to seeing, because like you talked about earlier, maybe at the local level you're used to just, if we'll make more shots than the next team and win. Now momentum is a factor in winning. Getting those deuces, scoring in even ends, these things are maybe something you haven't had to think about at this level, and you very much are this week if you're going to win that gold medal.
Absolutely. Gargle trying to help her sister out. Does a great job of making that directionally sweep. Helps her sister out, get rid of the BC stone. Now with nothing in play, BC Richards is going to try and draw another one in here. Not much set up for her. However, she's going to hope for a miss and maybe get an unlikely deuce out of this.
Do you think Sis gets anything at home for that? For, kind of bailing her sister out? Like, I don't know. Does she think about that around Christmas, or what do you think?
Probably just a high five.
That's it, eh?
Yeah. Can't imagine.
In fairness, it'd be similar. I'm not giving my brother more credit than he needs.
My sister's a better sweeper than me, so I'd probably have to give her credit. She'd make more shots than me.
She like living in Winnipeg. Is she in Winnipeg?
She's in
Or
Winnipeg,
something,
living with Caitlin Laws right now.
with her.
With Caitlin Laws,
Oh.
living in her basement. So my sister Jocelyn Peterman plays for Jennifer Jones' team out of Winnipeg. She's moved there just this past summer, and they've had a good year. Obviously not the result they wanted at the Scott Turner Hearts this year. However, that team has a brilliant future ahead of them. Playing with Jennifer Jones, obviously, just voted the best women's player of all time. I think Jocelyn was really pumped to play with them this year, and I think she sees big things in their future and not going to let 1 year define them.
And for Jen, is she just kind of getting ready for seniors then, Joel? Or
I don't think we should say that.
maybe just
Jen-
some humor there. But
Jen, if you're listening, Dustin didn't mean a word he just said. However, back to our action here. We got Quebec leading 4-3 in the sixth end. BC Skip makes their draw into the open house. Now having Quebec, the same shot they just threw on their last one. Important to stick around here, kind of put the pressure on BC a little bit. Sometimes that blank isn't always easy, especially at this level. So you don't take anything for granted, make a nose hit, and make BC make that shot for the blank.
again, this is a great view of throwing that softer weight. What can happen there with the swing?
Absolutely. So rolling out, Gargill rolls out on her last one. Gargill rolls out on the last one. Will allow the easy blank here for Richards in the sixth end. She'll maintain hammer. Maintain hammer going into the seventh. Richard makes hers easy, and the blank end is fulfilled.
So Quebec retains the lead here as we watch their first stone come down here in the seventh. And I like the call here. They want to force action. I think what their hope is here is to either steal one or force one and have that hammer coming home. I really like that they're making BC want to make some shots, not just try to throw this in and make them decide whether they want to blank or not.
BC, on the other hand, trying to keep things easy as well. They're probably pretty happy with the blank as well. Don't want to score one here. It would kind of be the worst possible thing.
I don't think Quebec does want to blank. BC does.
BC.
Yeah.
BC
I
does.
think Quebec wants to score here. Either side of the
BC would like
either
the
side
blank.
of the draw.
Disaster for BC would be to just score one.
You won this, eh?
Yeah,
2007.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't know by the way I'm talking right now, apparently. Yeah, back in 2007, so
This
many
is
years ago.
This is right where she tapped the broom, so I think that is the play for BC. And let's see if Quebec ignores it and just goes at that center they put up.
She's thinking about it. And indeed, she's gone away from it, Dustin.
Okay.
She's decided to ignore it here, so she'll try and hit this rock on the side of the 8-foot. Maybe try and roll behind that one on the center, Dustin. However, that might force BC's hand to maybe play something around the center.
Again, I think that's what BC wants to see there, though, is the hit away from that guard. They keep control. Nice, simplified end. They're just hoping for a half rock hit, wide open hit to kind of blank this end, I would think.
Absolutely. If they can maintain hammer going into the 8th, that's ideal for them. See, raises the age-old question, though, Dustin. If the deuce is available, do you take it if you're Team BC? Kind of raises that question if you'd rather be one up or one down.
It does. I've always had a hard time just giving up points when they're available to you on the board.
You see teams utilizing different strategies, but
you do, and you respect that. But I think if you think you're going to make your 8 here and the next 8, then I think you take the points that are available to you. But you know what? The 5 rock rule has changed things a little bit. But I don't know. It's hard to peel out your own rock. If you had a wide open draw for 2, could you do that?
no.
You know.
Good shot here by the younger Gargle. Amber, that is. But like
she got an Instagram handle there.
Does she have an Instagram handle?
Yeah,
I don't believe they do.
We've been doing some Instagram handle shout-outs.
I think Team Gargle just wants you to follow their team Instagram and team Twitter. That is at Team Gargle, T-E-A-M, if you don't know how to spell the word team, and Gargle, G-A-R-G-U-L. Team Gargle. Follow them on Instagram.
How do you
and
say
Twitter.
that in French?
They're not French, Dustin. We learned that earlier today. Galjul? Yeah. I think we nailed that.
How do you say Twitter handle?
Twitter handle? That's a good question.
You got that in
No,
your
I
repertoire?
don't. I don't have that in my repertoire.
Mario, do you? No. Well, that yellow rock on the right just rolled out. It is out for the viewers watching there. About 1.5 inches, 2 inches out. So this gives Quebec the opportunity to draw around the center they put on.
Absolutely. If they get around this center guard, it's going to put a lot of pressure on BC. Like I said earlier, they don't want to be forced to that one. That would kind of be the worst case scenario for them. Obviously, a steal would be even worse. However, Quebec with a good shot here can put a lot of pressure on Team BC.
So when you said it was the worst case scenario, but the steal would be worse. So what would you define that as then, Joel?
However, the worst case scenario would be the steal. However, a bad situation would be also to be forced to one.
That's unfortunate. That is a rock deep from being perfect. Now, but you know, again, to your point, it's interesting. Now BC has to make a decision. Do they try to go for multiples now that rock's behind the tee line? Or do they, you know, maybe try and tap it, maybe even out and roll open? I don't know. Tough shot, but probably there with the guard being high enough.
This is where if you're Team BC's coach, you're kind of saying, we're kind of playing 2 different strategies here. If you wanted to play for the blank, obviously you might see appeal here. But however, they kind of changed their kind of strategy, and we're playing now around the center. You're right into it here if you leave your rock on the back of the forefoot. And you're kind of playing into Team Quebec's hands with a little bit more rocks around the center.
So you're sitting downstairs right now behind the glass there. You got the coach's hat on again. You like that call?
I don't.
Oh, that was a tough pick. But tough pick.
I don't just for that reason. Because now as soon as that is missed, now the advantage is squarely put right with Quebec. If they make a good draw here, all of a sudden you're facing two dead buried. Obviously your goal here was to blank or score a multiple. So you're not looking good. If I'm Team BC's coach, I'm looking to try and get something out of the center, get maybe that guard off, and kind of see what we can do. But right now, the advantage is with Team Quebec. If they can wrap one around here with third Kira Johnson, a rock right on the top forefoot, dead buried, you're going to see Team B in a whole bunch of trouble.
This one's coming in a little hot.
And that advantage that we were talking about slides through the rings. Once again, if I'm coach for Team BC here, I'm talking maybe just peeling this center guard. That's the rock that's going to get them in trouble. We are committed to this same hack waiter through the hole, though.
So again, if you're coaching BC right now, are you kind of hoping for a run back, or are you?
If I'm Team BC,
are you liking this call?
I'm calling the run back. If I'm calling a timeout, I'm calling the run back, and if we get the guard, just peel the guard, that's fine. Playing this hack waiter is a real precise shot. If it's missed, like I said, you're giving the advantage right back to Team Quebec and kind of playing right into their hands around the middle. And that rock slides through. And I understand this is kind of a point to strategy. Some of our viewers might be sitting at home thinking, why wouldn't we try and get shot rock if we're Team BC? Like, if this rock is on the back of the button. But sometimes with a little bit more advanced strategy, once we get to these levels at the Canada Games, we need to start thinking a couple shots ahead and maybe even an end ahead. Thinking into what do I want to have in the 8th end? Do I want to be up 1 with hammer? Do I want to be down 1? What is my goal as this end? And right now, it's kind of playing into Team Quebec's hands.
It's pretty hard to disagree with that because you're right. Even best case result there, you know, she hits a third and rolls open. That center guard still there, still very much a usable rock for them. Quebec's a little gone deep again here, but you know what? Again, the blank is now off the table. Yep. There is no blank. And to your point about the way they played the first half of the end, they've kind of gone away from that. And why?
Yep.
You know.
And I teach my girls that I coach here in Red Deer, I kind of teach them that we got to commit to one strategy. So if your team meeting before the end was to blank, and I respect that absolutely if that's what you decided as a team, then you got to kind of commit to that for the full end. Kind of switching halfway through kind of can lead to some trouble, and sometimes the shots get a little bit tougher. And now all of a sudden we're kind of fighting to get back in this end. Mir's got to make a good one to get them back in it.
And even this, here's a small little, you know, that's a reverse staggered port. And I know it looks big, but not visually easy to make, is it?
No, absolutely not, especially with the swing that we're seeing today on the ice here in Red Deer. Playing this way and you see it there over curling and racking off. It's real tough to get through, especially when you just saw Team Quebec throw that same out-turn on the other side.
This is
2 in a row.
This is a disaster for BC right now, a disaster. You know, Quebec lobs on here top 8 now. Now you're running that rock that you've just chapped there, and you're praying to be tied up without now.
Absolutely. Your goal as the skip has always got to be, you got to leave yourself the easiest shot possible, and right now Team BC's kind of lining up things that are not looking too easy.
Well, I find interesting is that center guard has moved about 3 inches from a chapped come around that was never peeled, it was never rammed back. And what have we said in previous ends? Those guards are what can hurt you.
Yep, exactly. And you see that right now. Team Quebec's laughing because they're drawing around a center guard without hammer, sitting 2, and Team BC's fighting to try and score their 1 now at this point to be tied up coming home.
And you're going to have to make 2 really quality shots to get that 1.
Hannah Gargle here, the skip for Team Quebec.
Unless you're heavy and chap open and leave the pocket, then I guess you do have a shot at 2.
Absolutely. Kind of worst case scenario there for Quebec. Actual worst case scenario this time, Dustin.
Yeah. But easy to do. You're kind of hoping it'll take a dive. You know, they were patient with it, but again, that's back where you got to communicate and be honest too, and just say, you know what, this is back 8, back 8, back 8.
Yeah.
They sweep that to the back one. Again, it would leave a shot for BC, but this now is a lot more. Well, it brought 2 back into play, really.
Absolutely. Once again, putting that coach hat on, it's always better to over communicate on rocks like that. I think if your skip or your third is hearing too much communication, that's not a bad thing because at least they know where it is.
And I think being honest too. Again, I can remember playing at the junior level and that happening where you're wishing it was T-line. So you're yelling it's T-line because you're hoping it is, but in actuality it's back house, and you need to communicate that so the person calling line in the house can make a judgment call, and you know, in this case, get that rock back out of the house and not usable for BC.
We'll see if Richards can take advantage here. It's important to be shot rock after this run. That'll guarantee at least the 1 point, you'd think. Richards a little bit light. They've left it a little bit light here. Unfortunate. She had perfect line there coming into the house. As good as that line was, leaving it a little bit short is still going to leave the advantage right with Quebec. Now sitting 2 here late in the 7th end. A steal of 2 could prove costly for Team BC. Quebec now looking just to guard up this side, which will leave BC not with much. You might see our first time out of the game here, Dustin, if the good guard is made by Team Quebec.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to what you said of Looking ahead now, what will they kind of have? Will they have to angle tap their tight yellow guard there, or what are you seeing, or run the blue? Or
The only thing I'm seeing is you either play, like you said, the run the blue onto the yellow, or you have to play across the face, tap back on that one on the yellow. And we can kind of talk about that if they decide that, but there's not much left there for Team BC. A good guard, they got to get on this early to try and keep it out there. Once again, communication important. Both sweepers head down, trying to keep this straight for her. I think she's got a good guard here, Dustin.
oh, she's pretty much put it where you would want to drop it.
Absolutely.
So BC with a real tough shot for one, and again, this is just one of them great examples of what happens when you kind of switch the strategy.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're in trouble. Now all of a sudden you're fighting for that 1 point because you need that 1 point to kind of.
You look back to that middle of the end when they hit and rolled out and Quebec wrapped. They didn't even really consider peeling or running the guard, and you got to look back at that now and go, oof, that's where the trouble began.
Exactly. So they're lining up this tap on the yellow, the middle yellow. The only problem, you can't throw the intern here. You got to kind of throw across the face, so these are always tough. You got to come across the face and kind of tap it at an angle back into the back blues. I don't think you could get much more than 1 point out of this. However, 1 point at this point, BC would be laughing because that would be a great get out of jail free card here.
So what kind of weight with this broom are you thinking? Boardish hack kind of a weight here? Or?
With the way it's curling it kind of away from the center here, I'm thinking this has got to be at least board weight. She's giving it a chance, though. She is close. You got to go. Get it by. She might get a little bit lucky here. She might get it onto her own yellow, which might help. Good enough.
You know what? Yeah. She cut down the damage, and it's just a steal of 1. And Quebec will go up 5-3 coming home.
All things considered, not a bad shot there by Richards. Limited the damage to only the steal of 1. I think at this point, after facing what she was in her last couple shots, she's kind of happy about that result. Especially with 5 rock rule, a 3 is definitely in play, and she's still in this game.
And for those of you that were hearing that cheer, Manitoba has taken down Northwest Territories, both on the ladies and the men's side. A 12-1 win for the ladies on sheet 8. And a 10-5 win for Manitoba over the Territories on sheet 9. So great comeback win for the Manitoba boys, who lost earlier this morning, and the Manitoba girls go to 2-0.
All our other games are pretty close across all the 10 sheets here today. We'll kind of update you after the completion of our 8th end here, with BC trailing Quebec 5-3 going into our last end of play. Important for Quebec here to be right on the top 4 foot, wouldn't you agree, Dustin?
Yeah, again, it looks like she's made sure she's not short here, which is correct in thinking, but looks like they're just going to sweep this through. And again, normal to see, right? You want to make sure, you do not want to be out front here. I mean, obviously this is not the result you want, but that is a better result than throwing a halfway guard.
Absolutely. Good communication there by the front end, letting her know that she was going to be a little bit heavy, or in that case, a lot heavy, and getting it through the rings. BC important to get their guard up here now. Woloshin needs to get her corner guard up. That'll help her skip, set up an end for a potential 2 or 3 for the victory. Sweepers aren't touching it early. Woloshin praying for it to stop.
Yeah, I'm afraid this is going to be in the rings and not the result they want. going to have to sweep this one hard. It's just it's curling out of her hand early here. And will they get a chunk?
I don't think so, Dustin. Oof.
Okay, so your BC, you're down 2. Still got to guard that, do we not?
Absolutely. I think you got to keep the 3 in play. I know your gut instinct here is to split the house, but as soon as you do that, it's so early in the end.
So early.
To maintain a deuce this early in an end.
I can respect what she's thinking here, but you've got to get a guard here, I think. You've got to.
That is the right call.
This is yes. Thought it through wisely.
Yep, absolutely. Just got to understand, holding a deuce that long in this kind of, at this level of curling sometimes isn't the easiest. So you got to make sure that you get your guard up.
Well, and you also hit it on the head. You got to keep the chance of getting beyond 2 in play, too, if you can.
Obviously, you play to win the game. Good guard here by Wolosh, and very good comeback for her.
Is that Tony Dungy? Who said that? No, Edwards.
Edwards.
Yes.
Perfect
shot
guard there
by
Wolosh.
BC.
The important reason why they want to get that guard up too is because with this 5-rock rule, Gargill is unable to hit that guard out of play. So if she were to make a play on this rock in the house and inadvertently knock out the guard, it would need to be replaced. Also known as our free guard zone.
Freeze is big here for Cargill. You know, again, this is set up pretty ideally for BC right now, so you don't want to tap off here. And we got a lot of weight coming down here on this rock.
She's got to rock it.
Yeah, you're going to want to watch your feet here as this one comes through the house.
Being heavy. Richards trying to work it to get right out of the rings. And she has done so. Good sweeping. Skips aren't known for their sweeping, but she did a good job on that one.
Oh, that rock will actually stay on the line. I don't know if it'll be a factor or not, but
it's one of those ones that just ends up tripping a skip, doesn't it, Dustin?
It can.
Yep.
It can.
Yep.
She's elected to go open side here, which is interesting.
Yeah, just taking us back to the shot before by BC. You throw the guard kind of in hopes of maybe orchestrating a 3. You go open side here. Quebec's kind of happy with that because now they're going to play the open hit.
Yeah, as much as Quebec doesn't want to give up 2,
they definitely
they're
don't
a lot
want to give up 3.
happier that you're skipping it to get 2.
Yeah.
Right? Uh-oh, is this going to get there? No, sir. Yeah. For the viewers at home, that is just short of the rings, probably 2.5 inches short of the rings. And I think Team Quebec's got it right here. That corner guard's problematic. Let's get rid of it. I kind of like peeling it the other way and maybe getting some action off the other rock that's just in front of the house to our left as reviewing it, and maybe spin the shooter in. And
absolutely. You ever
let
throw
BC
this one
deal
wide?
with it.
You throw this one wide a little bit, and all of a sudden you're spinning them into the house, and 3's back in play. She's definitely not missed it wide, though. Might make the run back. Ooh.
Great shot.
Yep.
But again, she hits it that thick the other way. She probably gets something out of it.
Absolutely.
Now Richards is calling this completely right. She's got a corner to use. She can go back 8 to keep the double steep. And she's got a split available to her. She's got some options here.
If you're Team BC down 2, this is what you're looking for.
You got to be happy with how the end looks right now.
Yep.
Rock coming down here. Looks like we're going to chop here, but if we can make a little split, I don't know if we have enough weight to do it, but doesn't look like it.
Getting it in is maybe important.
Too close to call now, but
even the skip shrugs her shoulders as she doesn't know if it's in the rings or not.
I'm interested here that Quebec is trying to hit and roll behind that. This early in the end, I think you want to keep play away from those staggered corners, not in.
Yep.
You don't want them. You ever roll this, kind of this side of center line and leave them the hit and roll? What are you playing?
Absolutely. On the same token, you got to watch the jam at the back because that rock may come into play.
And I don't think, is she watching it? it's no longer going to be a part of the game.
It will
Joel.
no longer
No.
be part.
But this does give BC a chance to make a hit and roll. Split's even not a bad call here. You know Quebec's going to go out. If you have two shooters in the rings,
If you need two here, Dustin, don't you like to come around just using the corner guards and coming around here? Or do you like the hit and roll?
oh, I like drawing or splitting.
Yeah.
I like them looking at you going, oh, gee, like, you want them throwing against the loss potentially, or a hit and roll out at the halfway point of the end like we're in, as opposed to having to make a 5.5, 6 foot hit and roll.
Absolutely. Because a rollout by Team BC here could kill their chances. However, they have stuck in play.
They have, and the nice thing about that result is a nose hit for Quebec probably gets them out of the rings, and then BC can
Try that
use their split or draw around their staggered corner, whatever they decide. But
Absolutely.
again, you've only got just a few rocks to come here, and we can't keep playing the hit and roll game.
Nope. At some point, we got to use those corner guards, try and get around them. And like Dustin said, if you ever have the split and you kind of chop off, you're happy with that too. Apparently a timeout somewhere.
It's a great shot here by Quebec. That's like
That's
it's
perfect.
a 4 out of 4.
It's
but
perfect.
it's perfect.
It's perfect. You roll any farther, you leave the hit and roll.
But this is where I'm with you, where we're getting very late in the end now, and I really like drawing around the corner now.
Yeah. All of a sudden hit, and we don't make this perfect. How do we get our deuce?
Yeah.
The only reason I would agree with playing the hit here is if they do, in fact, believe that rock's in the house and they're hitting to sit too. But as we can see from our overhead camera, we do not believe that it is in.
That's right. Glad you clarified that. That being said, they're making that one curl. They didn't want to roll, so maybe they do think that's on.
Quebec is looking at it. Our camera person is also zooming in, trying to give you the best view.
But our camera girl's going to have to actually climb up into the rafters, get directly above it, and then zoom in to actually get the correct angle.
Montana, can you do that for us? Climb up there for us? No, you're doing a great job.
I got to think with that call, though, they think it's on.
Absolutely.
Because they did not want to roll there. They had the curl on with the sweep.
So Quebec, main objective here, if they do not think it's in the rings, the other one in the rings, trying to stay as close as you can to the center line, making it go away or maybe right on the nose.
Well, if it is in, does Quebec want to make the roll?
I think they do.
Like we're up to skip stones now.
Yeah. BC's got only 2 stones remaining. They got to get a deuce to keep this game alive.
Well, she's throwing it up the stick.
This Quebec team's really starting to find their groove. You can see the second game playing here today, they've really starting to figure out this ice. She's got a good one here.
Some roll.
She's taking away the draw almost. So
Well, now if you're BC, do you want to make the roll? See, they're rolling away, so this tells me they very much think that, for saying it for the umpteenth time, that it's on. So, but do you ever try to roll in and bring 3 into play?
if I'm a coach, absolutely.
Because if they got to slash the wide one that they think is biting, there will be a split for 3.
Absolutely.
And the win.
Yep.
So I really like rolling into that corner right now.
If you make that roll perfect, all of a sudden you get one miss. And if you think that one is indeed in play, all of a sudden you're drawn for the win.
Well, one miss, like you may very well, if you've rolled it to the right spot, they may very well have to draw around everything. Right? If you actually roll it so it's past the higher center.
Yep.
Or not center, corner, sorry. Where if they hit what they can see, it just jams.
Absolutely.
You've got a split for 3 in the win.
However, we're sticking with the roll away to the open side here. Important to stay in the rings. She's done just that.
She's done just that.
Yeah. Got there at the same time, maybe even slightly before.
So, you're Quebec. You're 2 up.
I
Do you nose this? Do you try for the big roll?
I think you got to play the nose hit first. You got to make sure it is out of play, and you got to make sure you stick is the biggest thing. Sometimes teams overthink these ones. If you try and roll too big and all of a sudden you roll out, There might be a potential of a kind of a split for 2 if that they don't believe that thing's on. Or some kind of shot, maybe even for 3 off those top guards.
Yeah, I'm looking at that angle, and although it would be really hard to get 3, there might actually be a shot for 3 there if you threw the exact weight and hit it in the right spot. You got to hit it thick to do it, but it
Thick
might
and
be
spinner
there.
on.
But you're right, it is important that they stay here.
Don't take this one for granted. Get your nose hit if you're Quebec. Then you hope for BC's rock at the top isn't in.
Oh,
however,
it's a good shot by Quebec.
see, this is where it's a testament back to if BC doesn't believe that rock's in, we've done this whole end to lose this game.
I really hope they do. I feel they do. But
They're putting a lot of hope in that rock at the top 12. This is one of those make the nose hit and pray for the measurement.
I think we all want to see one.
Yeah, absolutely. Get to see one of our lovely officials out there again. Shout out to our amazing officials led by Brenda Rogers, an amazing level 5 official here in Red Deer this week. And we've said this before, but a testament to all our amazing volunteers here in Red Deer for the 2019 Canada Winter Games. Led by our curling lead, we got to give her credit, Sarah Moore. She's doing a fantastic job keeping everything running smooth. We're back here now. We should probably commentate this last shot of the game. Potentially last shot of the game. Looks like BC.
Well, she's made it, so hopefully it's not the last shot of the game. Hopefully that's 2, but they have indicated for the measure. Quebec, I believe, has.
So we have the 1 guaranteed. It is at least a 5-4 game. And if BC's kind of life is being decided.
And for the family and friends watching, how exciting is
How
this?
exciting. A 6-foot measuring stick will decide their fate.
Zoom in on that camera, girl. Get right in there.
Oh.
How is that?
Go watch the stick go right past this thing or
Yeah.
touch it.
Yeah, there we go. Props to the camera gal. Right on her.
Right on it. Here comes our official. These ones generally happen a little bit quicker. The fate of BC rides on this measurement.
It's in.
They've
And
determined
we'll
it
go
is
an
in.
extra.
Fantastic. BC committed to that one being in, and they were indeed right. Get their deuce, and we are headed to an extra end.
That's the advantage of those young eyes.
Yeah,
eh?
absolutely.
Never wrong.
That is
Never
not
wrong.
Because if it was me, Dustin, I'm calling that rock out. But I was wrong. Great work by our camera girl.
And now we've got ourselves an extra. So there'll be a 3-minute timeout to just discuss how to approach this end. So
Do a quick last
that break.
edition of Around the Rings.
Yes, you shall.
Last edition of Around the Rings, kind of giving people updates. All our games are kind of finishing up here, so we'll zoom in on sheet 2, give you a quick update. That game's coming right down to the last shots here, with Saskatchewan girls clawing all the way back and now leading 7-6 in the final 8th end of play with only a few rocks remaining. Beside them, the boys' game is also coming right down to the wire after Nova Scotia scored 3 in the 7th, with Saskatchewan now leading 7-6, also in the 8th end. Beside them, we have a final, I believe, even though they left the rocks down at the far end. Thank you, Wade, for cleaning those up later. We have Newfoundland, who came out victorious against PEI, 10-4. Beside them, we have the men's game, Newfoundland boys, who are now up 5-3, playing in the 8th end as well. So PEI needing a deuce to keep that game alive. Beside them, on sheet 6, Ontario girls with a 3 spot in the 7th, now be down 8-7. So New Brunswick will have Hammer coming home up 8-7. On sheet 7, we have New Brunswick and Ontario. The men are tied at 4, now in the 8th end. It looks, if we look across, we have Ontario sitting 1 and have the victory in place if they hold on. We've updated these games before. Manitoba took home the victory in both the men's and women's games. The girls winning 12-1 and the guys winning 10-5. Our featured sheet heading to an extra end. What drama, Dustin, with a score tied 5-5 heading to the 11th. And on the men's side of things, we have BC men leading 4-0. The third is currently standing right in the way. 4-2 for the BC men over the Quebec men. And that game also in the 8th end. Thank you so much to our viewers, our 132 viewers right now. Every single one of you, we appreciate you. The grandparents, family members across the country, thank you so much for tuning in. Even though you have to hear our voices for a good 2.5 hours, I hope you're enjoying it. Looks like we have about 20 seconds left in our break here. We're going to come back with some extra end action from the 2019 Canada Winter Games.
And BC's first rock coming down the ice, looking for a tight center guard.
So it looks like each of the teams here get 4 minutes and 31 seconds, interesting, of thinking time here in the extra end. I like that extra second. It might pay all the difference towards the end. It is, absolutely.
So they got a high one there, which is, not bad. It's really good. Hopefully the next call, though, is to go tight around that and not try to put one in the paint.
Absolutely. You see that sometimes at the higher levels, trying to get 2 guards up there early. So you throw the first one either short or high, and then you try and get the other one in the opposite position just to try and get 2 center guards up where neither could be removed. Team Quebec trying to simplify things on their end, keeping that first rock in the house. There it is. Well coached by Team BC. I don't know if the coach talked to them before the end of this started, but it's good coaching to try and get the 2 center guards up, trying to keep the advantage, trying to get 2 center guards up and keep the play to the middle. My partner Dustin is taking a quick food break here. It's very respectful, though, of you, Dustin, to turn off your mic while you eat some chips. So BC, lead Bryn Woloshin trying to get a second guard up here. The sweepers are working on it. She looks like she has good line. Just got to try and get as much separation as possible. Leaving those 2 tight together will leave maybe a double peel later in the end. So trying to get as much separation as you can. She leaves them a little bit tight. However, it's still in a good position being on the center line for Team BC. Quebec going to try and utilize the center guards now, coming around everything. I think they're thinking here, if we get right to the top 4 foot, we're loving where we're sitting. Dustin will join me here soon. It's only a small bag of chips. It's kind of nice not having him on that broadcast right now. Nah, I'm just kidding. However, Team Quebec here coming around. Looks like they're a little heavy, so they're trying to utilize the one on the 12-foot. Rolling a little bit too far. BC trying, working. Skips not known for their sweeping. However, Richards did a good job to get that biting the back 12. I know myself as a skip, I'm not the best sweeper, so I should give Richards a little bit more credit. More talking about myself in that case.
Big shot here for BC here if they can lob one top 8, bite the 4 kind of thing.
Good to hear you back, Dust. Chips hit the spot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Pretty happy about
pretty
it.
happy.
They've a third guard. I don't mind that actually because that top 2, although they're not really interested in peeling, were very double peelable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a word.
Double peelable.
Yes.
It's a mouthful. Kind of like you had earlier with the chips, but that is a mouthful.
Yeah. Right you are, Joel.
So Quebec trying to come around. Do you like this play, Dustin?
I don't mind it. Would I have called the double peel? Probably, just because I think you could have got rid of all 3 if you hit it right. But I don't mind this call. I really don't.
I guess maybe playing to your strengths, your team strengths.
The only thing is that maybe they're not considering is, you know, if this is top button, there is a half rock double available to them. Like that's right on the pinhole, so it's a good shot. But if they tap this 6 inches, you know, advantage BC, right?
Absolutely. Team BC take home the victory over beside us, beating Team Quebec 4-3. That game came right down to a measurement to end. Team Quebec tried a cross-house double for the tie at least, and came up just a little bit short on the measurement. Most of our games are ending in here.
Yes.
Like. Sorry, Dustin, cut you
know
off
what,
there.
there's a lot of good comebacks, but I think the big one I'd like to actually touch on was sheet 6. New Brunswick was up 8-3 on Ontario, was forced in 6, stole 3 and 7, stole 2 and 8, and took the W over there on sheet 6. Pretty dramatic win for Ontario.
Resilience. Maybe she watched a little bit of Chelsea Carey behind the glass. Took a lesson from the best there. The Canadian champion now. We have our first time out. Our team, Quebec, coach sliding all the way down. Interesting technique.
You know what? Great way to save some time as opposed to walking down.
Absolutely. He wasn't messing around. Maximize his time.
Put your coach's hat back on, Joel.
Okay.
You're the Quebec coach. What are you saying right now?
I'm saying my rock's in good position, and if I didn't want to peel earlier, I can't be playing a peel now. So I got to almost cut off maybe that left-hand side where BC's going to play some kind of tap.
Let's just tip down our camera view just a hair and just see the guards at a later time. And just see how this whole end is shaping up.
Montana, could we get you to tilt down just a little bit so to see the guards? Perfect.
A little more, yeah.
A little bit more.
Just a little more. There we go.
Perfect.
So yes.
Go ahead, Dustin.
So if you're Quebec right now, you've got one. It's right on the pinhole, so you cannot make that rock any better than it's going to be right now. What's your biggest worry right now? You can't stop both sides is the one worry I have right now.
Yep.
What's harder right now? Wrapping out on for a right-hander their out-turn side here, or do we guard this?
I think you got to guard this because this is the easier shot. Obviously, you're going to leave Team BC a shot with the out-turn on the far side, but playing enough weight to move that off the button and to get around tight is probably the tougher shot here, Dustin.
Do you ever like drawing wide around here to your own?
To your own. That would put the pressure on BC. However, that is leaving this kind of tap back. And if Team BC ever got a good angle on that. However, guarding this early in an end with only one rock, sitting shot rock, can sometimes come back to bite you. Make sure they get this over the hog line. They're working on it. They got to get it there. It has just come up short. So not getting over the hog line, that rock will come out. The term hog line is actually derived from Scottish agriculture. Did you know that, Dustin? In a country where so many sheep were raised, a lamb in its first year of life was called a hog. In time, the name came to represent a straggler or a weakling, and the most likely to fall prey to predators. Similarly, a stone that could barely make it into the playing area was called a hog. There's some trivia for you.
If I said I knew it, would you have believed it?
Would you have said you knew it just so I stopped talking?
Big tap here for BC as we get later here in the extra, but they're going to chop on their high one, and you know that's, well, they may have tipped that enough that they didn't cut off that right hand side. I still think you could make this right. Well, maybe now you can't. It's probably not a good result.
Not a good result. I think because it kind of takes away your out turn on you.
Yes.
We talked about that kind of reverse stagger earlier.
There is that half rock double off wide though yet still, and I don't know if anybody's looked at that yet.
Absolutely.
And it's a thin half rock.
Quebec trying to take away the easier of the two, take away the same shot BC just tried to play.
She's making sure she's over the hog line this time, Joel.
Perfect. Won't have to bring up any more sheep.
You got to be careful here, though. This is going to go behind. This is a little, oh no. A bit of an over adjustment there on the previous throw, and kind of, well, let's just say it like it is, opening the door for BC.
Absolutely. Team BC now has the exact same shot they just played, a little bit better line, and all of a sudden they're sitting one dead buried without hammer, with a rock in front of it. Important to have really good weight here by Mears. If she can make this and stay right in front of it, Team BC is in a really good position to steal home this victory.
I like the weight she's thrown here.
A little easier to manage.
They got to let it curl, and this is not going to come up for them.
This is floating on them a bad, actually.
Well, this was a lot more weight, actually, than I thought that she had thrown. Closer to hack. Opens it up, but Quebec's still looking very good here at this point now. If they can put this kind of top 8, top button even. I don't know about putting this high. They're going to leave them a chop and lie kind of thing here, aren't they?
The higher you go, the more opportunity for BC, I believe.
Yes. You know, even if you put, actually I think top 4 is where you want to drop this puppy. Because even if they make the double off the wide one, extremely short run back.
Yep.
Probably the call.
Extra and drama here at the 2019 Canada Winter Games.
And you hang the guard out wide, it makes it a little tougher, but where it's
Look
stopped
at
now,
that finish.
BC does have definitely has a
Shot.
a little back line, chop and lie is definitely there. Let's hope they see it. It is there. You don't even have to throw back line. You can throw kind of that heavy draw. Well, probably want to throw back 12. Make sure you move that rock off the pinhole.
Yep. Biggest thing here would be having the right weight and communicating.
The key is weight,
Yeah.
as Don Duguid used to say.
Yeah.
You wouldn't remember that because
Yeah.
you're not
Wasn't even born at that point, Dustin.
Wait, no, you were born.
Born, just not aware.
On a side note, that's Pink now that's playing in the background.
Back to the music.
Yeah.
Big shot here for Richards. If she can get to the inside here, if she has the right weight, if she can get by tight, all of a sudden the advantage is strictly with
heavy
BC.
draw. They're calling that this is heavy, and it is hanging.
Wow, you really accentuated that H.
Yeah, she's not going to get what she wants out of this. I think if you're Quebec, if you can draw this kind of in the crotch of those two blues, there is no shot.
That would be...
Guard's not a bad call either. However, it will leave the double run. That's why I think you should go in. But
if you know, like you said, Dustin,
double run's not an easy shot, but it will leave it there.
if you get that top button,
If you put it right into the crotch of those two blues, she doesn't have a shot. Game's over. Guard's not a bad call, but it will leave her a double run here to lie shot.
our feature game is the last one out on the out on the ice. Every other sheet through sheets 1 through 9 have all finished. Nothing like Justin Bieber to get the girls motivated for these last couple of rocks.
You know, he is Canadian, Joel.
He is Canadian. Got to give him that.
This one's hanging, which tells me it's a little bit heavier than she wants. You do not want to tap that wide blue more than you need to. Okay, so what do we got now? We may have either the double run or is the... I don't know. I think the double run is still the call. Timeout's being called here by the front end.
Timeout. So you're thinking she has two options here, Dustin? Maybe if you get by tight, hair by with like back 8, or the double run.
There's a little bit of Newfoundlandese there by you. Hair by.
Hair by.
Oh.
Eyes the by, the bills the boat.
Where's your two? I think the double run's probably the highest probability shot. I think that other shot's there, but you got to hair it with the right weight. Probability is probably just as easy playing the double run. What do you think?
Yeah. We even commentated Newfoundland this morning, and we didn't use a single Newfoundland saying during that game.
No, very respectful.
Very respectful of them. Yeah.
You know, again, she's gotta, if she's gonna hit the wide blue, like what they're talking about right now is they've got two options. If she throws, she's probably got to throw to the hat kind of weight to chance off that very left blue in the 4-foot that we can't see because of everybody standing at the hog line, and hit a third, and she could probably lie shot, or hit the double run, which would be probably inside nose 3/4 to make, and but. Again, there's a wall of blue, so you can make it a variety of ways if you're close to thick on the inside.
And I think that's why they're going with this one, Dustin. Just a little bit more options.
I think this is the right call. The crowd agrees. They're on their feet here in Red Deer, and
parents are biting their nails. The fans are trying to cheer them on. This is the Canada Winter Games.
All we can do now is sit and watch.
Maybe say a few things.
Or we can.
Yeah. Richard's life on the line. Needs to make a big one.
Life on the line? No, she
Oh.
could lose this game. And she's still very much in the event.
Game on the line. She's giving it a huck.
Hey, I need some finito. I don't think so. It's going to go in the books as a win for Quebec.
Finished with an 8-5 victory.
Big steal.
The big steal in
Great
5.
comeback win for Quebec. That'll put them to 1-1. BC will fall to 0-1, and they'll search for the first win tomorrow. From Red Deer, we say thank you for tuning in, and
Absolutely. Thank you for
we'll see
listening.
you all tomorrow.
Yeah. Have a great night, everybody.
All right.